Hey guys, welcome back from Classic Work. Got a great little project today. If you're like me, I'm a big fan of music and I play several instruments myself. But today's project's all about listening to music. And if you're like me, you like to use your phone and listen to music all the time. Now, most of y'all have probably seen this if y'all are any familiar with any smartphones out there. There's free music things out there like Pandora, and there's others as well. But your phone is not that loud. And I know y'all probably seen this trick before, is where you take a cup and you cut a hole in the back of it, and you can take your phone and put it in there. You can hear the difference first. A lot of difference. But this right here is kind of a cheap way and kind of ugly. So woodworking wise, we can make an acoustic amplifier for your phone. And this here is the project that we're going to do today. And I'm sure some of y'all have probably seen this design. It's an acoustic amplifier. And it works pretty cool. Check it out. Pretty neat, but it'll probably amplify it by probably twice as loud. My phone's still got the case on it too, and it'd be louder without it. But it's a pretty cool little project, and let's get started and get after it. The first thing that you're going to do when you're making this amplifier is pick a good wood for it. What I've chose here, this is cypress, and it's a pretty thick piece. You want a wood that is a good resonant tone to it, and cypress is one that is well known in the music world for being very resonant. It moves a lot. Another good pick would be spruce. But any of those woods like that, that's got a nice fine grain and doesn't have any knots in it, because it will hurt your sound amplification. So this piece right here is 9 3/4 inches long, and it's 3 3/4 inches wide, and it's 2 inches thick. So that's the basic on what you're going to do. The first thing that we're going to do is cut this slot right here is where your phone fits in. Now, all phones are different, so you do need to measure it and take into consideration what thickness that you're going to have. So my phone's an iPhone 4S, and with the case on it, it's right at 2 5/8 inches. So you want a little slack to go in there. So on this one I made it 2 3/4. But you can alternate your measurement. I've noticed on some of the newer phones like the 5S, they're a little bit wider with some of the cases that they come with them, and you may want to make it a little bit wider. So for this one, we're going to make it right at 2 7/8 will probably be good. That way it'll accommodate any phone. So let's go ahead and get started on that. To cut this slot right here where your phone's going to sit, the easiest way that I found to do is to set up your two setup bars parallel with each other and center them on your fence of your router table. Then you'll mark your center lines right here, and then mark your two edges out, and then measure them off from each point and route them out. That way at the bottom of the hole down here will have rounded corners, which will make it look real clean. So this here is how the setup's going to go and how it's going to run. after you cut your hole for your phone, the next thing you're going to have to do is make a pattern for your router guide that we're fixing to cut next. Now, to make these holes, it's not a real big deal. You can use a compass and draw out a circle, drill a hole in it, and cut it out either with a scroll saw or a jigsaw. But this right here, this template is what's going to guide your router as you cut these out. So make it as close as you can to your actual piece. Now the circles, I think, on this model are 2.5, but you could easily do any size you wanted, as long as you take into consideration your thickness of your block and everything. But once you do that, take you some double-sided tape and stick it in 3 places and go ahead and place it on top of your block. So we're just going to zero it up the best we can. Now then, on my router, I'm using a bushing guide, which is a 5/16 and a 1/4 inch router bit. And the bushing is going to ride on the inside of the pattern and trace it out. The holes I've drilled here are just so I can lay the router right in them and start cutting, and I won't have to tilt the router or anything like that. Once you have your holes routed in to the depth you want them, you're going to switch gears before you take your template off. Get you a round nose bit. There's the 3/8, and you're going to kind of round over these inside corners in here. It's okay if you route the rest of the bottom too. That's not going to hurt anything. You just have to do some more sanding. But that's what I'm fixing to do, is just route these insides and route the bottom a little bit and go from there. Alright, this here is where it gets into the hand tool process. We've got to cut a vein, or just 2 slots pretty much, that the speakers go out so they can go to these speakers more or less. So on not all phones, but on my phone, it's got 2 ports on it, which is a misnomer because only one of these is the actual speaker. But that if yours only has 1 speaker like my phone does, which is the S4, you're going to have to connect the 2, because if you only cut just 2 slots, it'll only go to one side and won't go to the other. So the easiest thing to do is just cut 2 slots down and then connect them in the middle with just a runner. So you have a runner that runs all the way across. But not all phones are like this. I know some of the 5s have got 4 or 5 ports all down the bottom, and some of them don't even come out the bottom. Some of them come out the side in all sorts of weird ways. So you'll have to look at your phone and be sure. But for this phone right here and a lot of the iPhones, what you're going to do is measure your distance. So center your phone up on the edge best you can, and just make you a line where the 2 speaker ports are. Just kind of halfway center it up with your eye, and from there you can kind of draw out the basic shape. Now this here is the shape that I did on my last one, and it seemed to work pretty good on it, but it may not work good for all of them. You may need a straight edge to clarify your marks. Okay. And be sure you leave enough meat everywhere so nothing breaks off. There we go. Probably can't see it too good, so I'm going to darken it up. there you go. There's your basic outline. That way the sound can resonate in both directions and you shouldn't have any problems. But, as I said before, look at your phone and be sure. Other than that, take a gouge like this one and a veiner and just go in there and clean it out pretty much. It'll take a little time, but it'll be well worth it. Sorry, the camera's shaking.